Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, and we have another brand new episode on a new Dreamcast game to check out. Actually, it's two, The Simpsons Bug Panic and Take the Gun, both by Red Lemon Studios. These were just recently found on a dev kit, and we're going to be checking them both out today. Before we get too far involved, if you could do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined, we got a Patreon link down there as well if you want to support the channel. This is the Toon Render Engine demo, and it's hard to say if there was ever actually a Simpsons game in development for the Dreamcast, or if Red Lemon Studios just used an existing known property to showcase their work. Because sometimes when developers are making new tools and engines, the easiest thing to do is to use something that people really know well. That way when you're showcasing it, you can really tell whether or not the technology is working, and pretty much everyone has seen The Simpsons, they know what it's supposed to look like, and this is a really faithful recreation of The Simpsons kitchen and living room. Now, what the bug is doing, who knows? It's really not known. I mean, there are no cockroaches in The Simpsons. It's not really a character per se, and the scale of it's really interesting because obviously that cockroach compared to the floor that you're looking at is quite tiny. But it is a really interesting demo, and it's awesome when these things are found. And I like that they use the Quentin Tarantino directed Itchy and Scratchy episode on the TV there. There's a lot of little touches that really make this feel like a faithful recreation of the Simpsons house, and it would have been really interesting to see what this game was supposed to be, if in fact it was actually going to be a game and not just a tech demo. Now you will see that the frame rate definitely tanks in spots, and as opposed to getting choppy, it just slows the game down. And the controls of this little cockroach are very strange. You jump, but keeping your forward momentum or being able to get where you want to is quite difficult. But obviously, being a tech demo, really what can we expect out of it? It runs, it functions. There is no sound. I've just put Simpsons game sound clips in here, so I'm not just talking on a blank background. But it's a lot of fun just to check out. I mean, I love the colors of this. I love the cell shading. You know, Simpsons games are usually not good. There's only been a few decent Simpsons games ever made. Most of them are pretty bad to absolute outright garbage bad. But this is a really fun experience. You can see here we can go into first person mode, and we have 3 different camera angles that we're able to look at. And I do love the fisheye effect of this. It gives a really interesting visual. And considering that this is cel shaded, it looks really good, not just for a Dreamcast game, but for a game in general. And there goes Homer there. Some of the characters, their faces aren't quite perfect, but obviously being a tech demo, it's really hard to judge the work that's involved here. And you'll see that if you make the jump just right, you can get over to the kitchen counter, although Homer totally tried to screw that up for me. But it's fun. It's an interesting thing to check out. Granted, this is all there is. It's just the inside area of the house. You can get outside with a little command. If you just hold down start and A, you're able to get free camera, and you can spawn that cockroach wherever you want him to, and I'll show you in a second. But I love when things like this come out. It's interesting to see the development history of games on the Dreamcast, and it is usually rare that when people find these, they do release them. A lot of different things are sitting in private collectors' hands, like the next game we're going to show in about a minute, Take the Gun. That has been known to exist since, I think, 2016, but the person that had it kept it in a private collection. Now a secondary source has found it, and they have released it, which is absolutely amazing, and that's why I'm always surprised people sit on betas forever in private collections, because it's not worth anything once the second source is found. And in this instance, I'm really glad the person that found the Simpsons Bug Squad was willing to release it, because I don't know if a second source would ever come out for this. And all it was doing was sitting on a hard drive on a Dreamcast development kit. And that's why people like to buy dev kits with hard drives in them, because you never know, there could be something on it. And you see Bart ran by the window there. You can definitely get the camera in some strange angles, and you can kind of screw this tech demo up. But honestly, I've played a lot of different tech demos for Dreamcast and other consoles, and this functions relatively well. It's never crashed, it's never frozen, outside of just some strange controls and a little bit of slowdown. It was a really nice thing to actually check out, and I just love the fact that we can actually see this, because so many times these games are found and they're never released, so to be able to play even more new Dreamcast things, even if they're just tech demos, is absolutely awesome. And you'll see here with the free cam, there isn't anything else in the Simpsons house except the living room and the kitchen. And as you take a look at Bart's model, you can definitely see it was unfinished. And that's just the thing. It is a tech demo. It's a lot of fun to check out, but there is no real gameplay here. But moving on to some gameplay, we have Take the Gun, which is a first-person shooter that we're supposed to use a light gun as the controller, or at least that's what some of the other press materials and demos have shown. But this game has a lot more gameplay involved, But honestly, I prefer the Simpsons bug demo to Take the Gun, just from the perspective that it's a lot more interesting to look at. And being The Simpsons, it's just kind of fun to see and experience because I love the show. But Take the Gun, you get this full FMV intro here, and from what I can tell of playing the game, this is like a first-person shooter that was supposed to use the Dreamcast light gun. I tested the light gun on my Dreamcast, and it does absolutely nothing. So the only way we're able to play the game is with a Dreamcast controller, and the controls are just very strange. But we'll see this little intro here. This guy is going to meet Kincaid, and what I think is going on in the story is Kincaid is running for president, and Take the Bullet being the title. You're his bodyguard, and you're kind of keeping him safe in different scenarios. Although I don't know who walks into a job interview holding a gun like that, or holding a gun in general. It's really kind of strange. I wouldn't offer somebody a drink who had a gun in their hand. But magically, perfect timing, an explosion happens, and we move right into the first person. But controlling this game is a mess. You aim with the analog stick, and the analog stick is inverted, so warping your brain to make that work is extremely difficult. And you move forward and backwards, left and right, with the Dreamcast face buttons. And this is an interesting tech demo. It's an interesting beta for a game. And for whatever reason it was canceled, whether it was the death of the Dreamcast or this just wasn't shaping up, it's only okay. But it's really not fair to review a game that's not done. It's fun to look at, it's fun to check out, but it's definitely not a lot here. And I will just say this aiming scheme with the controller just makes the game basically unplayable. But had it been planned for the light gun, it probably would have been a lot easier to handle. I'm sure control was just put in there in case someone bought the game and didn't have a light gun. But getting anywhere in the levels is extremely difficult because people are shooting you almost instantaneously, and using the analog stick to actually aim at them and kill them before they kill you is damn near impossible. So you're really not going to be able to see everything this game has to offer until somebody discovers some invulnerability or God code to be able to let you just go through and not take damage. And obviously with the game being unfinished, I thought these guys were enemies. They are allies, and I just shoot them dead, and the game doesn't have any penalty for that. And like I said, it's not done. Maybe if you shot these guys, had the game released, you would have failed the mission. But I can only really talk about what I see here, and that is the fact that I can just totally shoot these people, and they don't really seem to be bothered by it whatsoever. Now, graphically, it's not bad. It's not the best thing on the Dreamcast, and it's not the worst. And I love these little vignettes you get here. He's running for president. He's standing in front, and then magically this woman who kind of looks like Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis pops out with a gun and tries to shoot him. And I'm spoiling it, even though there's not that many things to spoil. You have to chase her to a helicopter. It was really interesting of what this game could have been. Had it been finished and had it used the Dreamcast light gun and you just used the D-pad to move forward, backwards, left, and right, I could see this being a game that really was interesting. But in its current state, it's really just a curiosity, but it's a great curiosity because this has been in a collector's hands for a while now, as far as I know, since 2016. This has been known to exist, and it's only in 2020 that someone else found this on a dev kit and is able to show it to us. Now, I did watch the footage from the version that was existing in 2016, and it does look like that one may be a little bit more done, but it's really hard to compare and tell what's going on. But now you'll see as that helicopter flies away, we're going to have some enemies just spawning in randomly, and before I even get the analog stick and the reticle over them, I am just getting absolutely destroyed. So there may be a lot more level in this game that I just haven't seen, but it's really difficult to tell. So it's not a huge disappointment that this game didn't release on Dreamcast. If I had my druthers, I would definitely have had Simpsons Bug Panic be the game that came out versus this, but obviously neither one did. So we're just kind of talking about these little alphas, tech demos, and betas. And you'll see here that a lot of the AI isn't programmed in. These guys have guns and they're just sidestepping around, and you can shoot them and they're not going to respond to you whatsoever. And that guy is now sidestepping towards the president, so we definitely better shoot him before he sidesteps the president to death. But I love that none of the other characters in the game care that I'm having a gunfight. And honestly, the only way I was able to progress this level was by shooting the president in the head. That somehow magically triggers his AI to continue on because he needs to unlock a door for you. But honestly, as a bodyguard, I don't think shooting your client to make him move is the wisest choice. But like I said, it's a demo, it's a beta, nothing is really finished programming in, so you can't fault it too much. It's almost kind of funny how the game is just so janky that you have to do the wrong thing to make it progress. But it's really fun to have these two tech demos available because, like I've said a few times in the video now, so many other interesting betas and alphas and demos exist out in the world that are in private collectors' hands that never see the light of day. And I've released in the last 2 Christmases some demos, some betas for the 3DO M2 or even the 3DO. I'm of the thought that, hey, if it exists, why not let it out there? And you'll see here we're at the book depository. Not the most tasteful thing, this is definitely emulating the Kennedy assassination, but I love that the guy says freeze. He has his gun on the person he's chasing and he just lets him get away. He is probably the worst bodyguard in the history of bodyguards because he lets the killer just run away and now we have to hunt him down. But thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this. We'll be back next Wednesday with more episodes on Dreamcast ports from the Atomic Wave, and we'll be back on Sunday and Tuesday with videos as well. But those are the 2 demos that just recently came out for Dreamcast. Fun to check out, and I very quickly get gunned down. See you next time. Bye-bye.